You're watching Vancouver TV, where we show you what's happening in your city. We've got the latest movie reviews and access to your favorite celebs. From fashion to red carpets, live shows, and more, we cover it all, keeping you informed about your city and in the know about upcoming events.
I used to watch this perfect couple. They were the embodiment of true love. I want to start my life over again. I saw her. I saw her from the train. She was with this man. Just for a second. Is this her?
To a woman so heartless.
Can you tell me where you were Friday night?
I was in the city, and then I went to visit my husband.
You mean your ex-husband? It's my understanding that the woman who has gone missing was his nanny.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Megan.
Rachel, why are you here?
Because I'm helping find Megan.
I don't think you're helping anybody.
I saw your wife with someone.
Megan has a therapist. Is that who you saw?
What happened that night in the tunnel? Tell me the truth.
I read once that when a train hits, it can rip the clothes right off of you.
How could you be so heartless?
You were seen in the area that night.
How could you be so heartless?
Did you murder Megan Hipwell?
No.
How could you be so heartless?
Just tell me what happened that night.
How could you be so heartless?
Why are you here?
Because I'm afraid of myself.
To win tickets to see this movie and other fun movie prize packs, visit www.vancouvertelevision.ca. Welcome to Vancouver Television. I'm your host, Maria Rincon. Today we're at the Our World Sustainability Gallery inside Science World to talk about the hydrogen fuel cell exhibit and much more. We're here with Lindsay. She's a program specialist here at Science World. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Great, thank you. So tell us about this hydrogen fuel cell exhibit here.
Yeah, so it's been here since the fall, and really it's just a great way to learn about hydrogen fuel as an alternative energy source. So in this game, if you're playing, you get to drive along, you encounter true and false questions, and then that gives you a little bit more information about hydrogen. From there, you can also get a little more in-depth and learn about where other vehicle fuel sources come from and a little bit of background behind hydrogen.
Wow, super fun and interactive way to learn about hydrogen. Now tell us, why is it important that kids and families learn about hydrogen and where it comes from and how it impacts our environment?
Well, there's a lot of talk about hydrogen right now, and some hydrogen cars are coming out on the market.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool fuel. There's a lot of really awesome science behind it. So essentially, when you're using hydrogen fuel, you have hydrogen gas going into your tank. You also have air coming in from the other side. When it goes through this fuel cell, the hydrogen actually separates its electrons, becomes a positive hydrogen ion. The electrons are actually what makes the electrical current in your vehicle. And then the only exhaust that comes out of the vehicle is water. So when the vehicle itself is actually emission-free, that's a pretty cool alternative energy. It's also important, though, to learn about where that hydrogen fuel is coming from. So depending on where and how they're making the hydrogen, there is an environmental impact to that as well. So we kind of get into a little more depth here, talking about where you can get your hydrogen from and sort of where that's going.
Awesome. I definitely learned something already.
Yeah.
So the hydrogen fuel cell exhibit is located in the Our World Sustainability Gallery. Tell us about that.
So when you come into the Our World Gallery, you can learn a lot about different environmental impact stories, and a lot of it's about human choices, the choices we make, and how we impact the environment, and hopefully how we can make better choices. So you can learn about your water footprint, you can learn a lot about energy and where your energy comes from, about food waste, about other forms of waste and recycling. So it kind of covers a lot of things that show where your impact can be, and how people are having that kind of impact all over the world, and the different choices and options that are out there.
Yeah, definitely. And what's your favorite exhibit here in the gallery?
Oh, that's a really hard question. I mean, I love them all. We actually redid part of our water. It's like a water gun challenge this year, so that's been really exciting. We have new, kind of like new audio and stuff on there that makes it that much more fun and more interactive. So I feel like that's my favorite now, just because it's been sort of new and exciting the last couple of months.
Water gun fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And there's also something else coming new to the gallery. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're actually hopefully kind of before the end of the summer, we're going to have a big new wall display that shows a map of the world, and it's actually going to be flipping through and telling different sustainability stories from all around the world. So it really shows that individuals can have lots of impact, and the stories will be from an individual, doing something amazing, or a government making a really big decision that's going to have a positive impact. So it kind of covers from grassroots to governmental, and all the different ways that that people can be superheroes for the planet.
Awesome.
So now it's time to go for a drive. So you're going to be encountering some true or false questions as you go along, and you have to answer the questions by turning the wheel. Yeah, and it does show you some cool facts as well, so that, for example, hydrogen is the most abundant chemical in the universe, so that's a cool fact. You get a little extra hydrogen there.
Oh, this is fun. Oh, diesel fuel is heavier, denser, less flammable, and less volatile than gasoline. True.
Yeah, it's shocking how great kids are at playing this game, and how I am not.
So this exhibit has something to do with human energy. Can you tell us about this giant human hamster wheel up behind us?
Yeah, so basically by running on the exhibit, you power the exhibit. And you can actually see for our energy exhibits in this gallery, it has an energy meter that shows you how much energy that you're producing through your activity. Through this one, it's through you running. So
Very cool. So Lindsay talked about this one being her favorite exhibit here at the Our World Sustainability Gallery. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so the WaterWise exhibit is a way where you actually have to conserve as much water as possible and to be as efficient as possible, and then you're kind of a water hero in the game. So by hitting the targets really accurately, it's showing your daily water use and how efficient that you can be, trying to use as little as possible in a day, and that's how you win the game.
And you can compete with friends, so you want to have a go at it?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm here with Christine Wright, with one of the riders for the Ride to Conquer Cancer. How are you, Christine?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Are you excited for the ride?
Yes, very excited. A little tired, but yes, very excited.
So when did you wake up today in the morning?
Woke up at 4:30 in the morning, but I didn't actually get to bed till 2 a.m. I had a lot of stuff to pack.
So how long's the ride gonna be?
Well, it's a 2-day journey. It's 240 kilometers from Vancouver to Seattle. For me, it takes about 6 to 8 hours each day.
To train?
No, well, training's already done. This is just the route itself, so yeah.
How long does it take you to train for this ride?
To be honest, this year I didn't have a lot of training, but I've worked on my stamina by doing yoga, the grouse grind. But in previous years, I trained a lot. This is my 6th year, so I'm hoping that my muscle memory is still intact, and yeah, I'll make it to the finish line in one piece. For doing the Ride to Conquer Cancer for the 6th year is my sister. My sister passed away from leukemia in 2002. She was only 15 years old. When she passed away, I really did not understand what was happening. My world just stopped. And it was through the ride that I found healing and just I found myself again. I realized that I wasn't alone in my feelings and that everyone here, all the cyclists here, have been touched by cancer in some way, whether it's through losing a loved one or fighting for someone or cycling for someone who is fighting cancer. So that is my motivation.
In the months and weeks leading up to today, you have shown incredible passion and dedication. Many of you may be first-time riders like me who have really had to train hard. Many of you have been doing this for many, many years. Thank you for coming back year after year, and for the passion you've committed and to the funds raised. So, I would now like to call up 6-time rider and KPMG partner Ryan Osnet to bring us the envelope containing our fundraising total. This is like my favorite part. Where's Ryan? All right. Thank you. And thanks to KPMG, who's a really terrific partner of the BC Cancer Foundation. All right, I'm opening the envelope. Here I go. Oh, it's quiet. Okay, but after I say the number, it should not be quiet. Here we go. You, each and every rider here today, collectively, we have raised $7.1 million.
Each cyclist has to fundraise a minimum of $2,500 every year. Yes, that's very steep, and honestly, that's the hardest part for me, is asking for money, but knowing where the money is going and seeing the results just motivates me to ask and to just really encourage others to donate. I mean, back in 2002 when my sister was diagnosed with leukemia, the cure rate was only 16%. Now, it is 70%. So we see results, so that is why I do this every year.
Rare form of squamous cell carcinoma, and my own father was just coming out of his own battle with cancer. In the wake of my family's pain, I was so desperate to do something, and the ride seemed like the perfect start. I had never done anything like this before, and raising funds was challenging, but my need to help in some way was stronger than any of my fears or doubts. When I checked off the box indicating where I'd like my funds raised to go to, I didn't know. I didn't know who I was helping. I didn't know how significantly those funds would impact my life just 3 years later. In June of 2011, I geared up for my second ride, but with an invisible weight on my shoulders. With a 10-month-old son, I was still glowing with the joy of motherhood. But when a lump that I had been attributing to breastfeeding challenges refused to go away, I decided to see my doctor. She put me on antibiotics for suspected mastitis, and I went on to complete that 2011 ride. 1 month later, at the age of 33, I was diagnosed with breast cancer after a biopsy showed that the lump was large enough to require an immediate mastectomy of my right breast. The news was devastating, but within a week of my diagnosis, I threw myself a big old cancer party, and with the support of family and friends, I had my first cancer-related surgery the very next day. Following my surgery, my husband and I underwent fertility treatment to preserve 8 beautiful embryos, an option that wasn't even available to couples 30 years ago. I then went through chemotherapy and radiation, and then started a drug called tamoxifen just before participating in my 3rd ride. 5 months later, ready to carry on with life, I chose to have my left breast removed as a precaution and underwent a 2nd mastectomy that showed clear margins, meaning no cancer. But less than 2 months later, just before Christmas, I discovered the tiniest of lumps just beneath my collarbone. I was quickly sent for another biopsy, and on December 17th, 2012, I learned that my cancer had returned and spread to my liver and lymph nodes. This time, I truly thought that I was going to die. But once the initial shock had passed, my family and I went into action mode. We were told of an oncologist in Vancouver that I needed to see, that she was one of the best, if not the best, and widely connected to research and clinical trials on an international scale. It turns out that Dr. Karen Gelman is even better than the best. Through her, I became the 10th patient in the Personalized Oncogenomic Program, otherwise known as POG. I don't know that I understood what it meant to be a POG patient at the time, but what I did know was that Dr. Gelman and her colleagues were going to do everything that they could to find out as much as possible about the cancer residing in my body. With there being over 200 different types of cancer and so many varying effects on different people, this type of research just made sense. And it wasn't long before I had proof of the power of that research. In the fall of 2013, shortly after my first follow-up scan, I received an excited call from Dr. Gelman. My scan was clean, completely normal, no evidence of disease. No sign of active tumors. Now, 3 years and another 3 scans later, the reality of my results is starting to sink in. The research being done behind lab doors is so important, and I strongly believe that I owe my life to it. You have all raised funds to continue supporting programs such as POG, which itself was kick-started by the Ride to Conquer Cancer. Since 2009, this ride has raised over $77 million for cancer research. This is a phenomenal number, yet there is still so much work to be done. It costs $30,000 for just one patient to go through the POG program. That's $15 million for the approximately 500 patients in the POG program today. Yet each year in BC, approximately 26,000 people will be diagnosed with some form of cancer, and in nearly half of those, their cancer will spread. As you ride from here to Seattle, you will see the many yellow flags of cancer survivors and thrivers, from the just diagnosed to those that have been survivors for over 30 years. They, and those to come, are who you are all helping.
Other people should do this ride not just because it's a journey to end cancer, but it's something that's really inspiring, that will motivate you to do more, that will encourage you to find that inner fire within you and just contribute to a better world, a cancer-free world.
As your actions affect all those around you, always ride predictably and in control and avoid weaving and erratic behavior. Use hand signals when you need to change course or stop, which will let other cyclists and motorists know what you intend to do. Keep to the right of the road at all times and ride single file. Do not ride side by side. If you are passing another rider, always pass on the left and let them know you're approaching. Always maintain at least one full bike length between you and the bike in front of you. One personal note I'll add too is for those of us who've been riding this many, many times, you know some of those hazards you're going to encounter, the lips in the road. But there's other hazards down there. The road conditions change. The type of pavement changes, so be careful. You may have done this 8 times, or 7 times, or 6 times, but conditions change, so please stay aware. And lastly, just plain old stay alert. This is a very emotional day, but it is important to be attentive. Watch for those unsafe road conditions. There's the odd pothole out there. And obey all event signage. Adding these safety tips to those you've been hearing in the past weeks will give you a great foundation for an injury-free, fun weekend. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you at camp.
I'm with Don Lane with the Fraser Valley News. Who are you rooting for today, and why is this event so important for you?
Well, first off, obviously as a member of the media covering this, but I've lost some friends and family over the last few years to cancer, so this hits hard. So the late Terry Avalos, who was a fellow broadcaster, passed away a couple of years ago, so Terry's always in my heart. My partner, her best friend, died 2 years ago of brain cancer. And some other people along the way, friends and family. My partner's uncle, he's now dealing with prostate cancer. So something like this, it's a mixed bag. You try and put on your news blinders to try and do your job, and you always have that pit in the stomach going, this is a little bit more than just a news story. When you see 1,600 to 2,000 cyclists, and you know damn well each and every one of them have been affected by cancer. Each and every one of them have a major story.
Important journey. A journey that started long before this morning and one that will continue as long as cancer exists. This bike represents the person who once rode it. A sister, a father, an uncle, a friend. A life cut short by an unrelenting disease. And the once ridden bikes in our homes and unfilled spaces in our hearts that are left behind. To all of those who are no longer with us, we dedicate this ride to you. But as we embark with the spirit of those lost, we must not forget the fight of the living. This bike also represents its escorts here today and all of the riders with yellow flags, the survivors, and those who are currently battling cancer. Look around you. Look at all those yellow flags. As we push ourselves to the limits these next few days, I encourage you to look upon the amazing courage and dedication of these riders. The ride hardly compares to the epic journey that you have already endured and continue to endure. You are heroes among heroes in our battle to conquer cancer, and your participation today is incredibly inspirational. Why do we ride? Because our sweat is nothing compared to their tears. Because our challenge is nothing compared to their fight. Because we are all on one journey to conquer cancer.
Sponsors, tell us a little bit about your sponsorship.
Absolutely. So we are from Pact Network. It's an emergency network where all the riders are able to put their emergency contact details as well as any medical information. So hopefully they never have to use it, but if anybody were to become ill or have an injury, then the ride can actually bring up their information and use it to help them. And they can also use it to communicate with everybody. Hopefully it seems like today is a beautiful day, so they won't have the same weather they had last year, but if the course was ever impacted, they can basically connect with all the riders, send out a message, and everybody will be able to communicate.
Were you guys participating in last year's event as well?
No, we actually started this year because last year they were so badly impacted by the windstorms that they realized...
I heard about that.
I know, it was pretty crazy. So my co-founder has participated for 3 years now, and so after what happened last year, they came to us and said we need a communication tool, and we also offer the ability for them to have medical details, so they used it for all the riders, which is great.
That is really great. Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. Because one of my friends is riding in it as well, so it was kind of scary hearing her stories last year.
It was a bit nuts, and it just shows that, you know, even at events and various things, something can happen. And so we basically help and give that sort of assurance that you can connect, you can communicate, and you have the information you need.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Wow! 40 people onto the max. Congratulations. Riders for Riders. How many people on the team here in Vancouver? Way too many. Never too many. Out here riding as a team, having a wonderful time. I see Team A&W coming on through. And Caps Westwood coming on in. Team Matt Kirk right over here. Our flag bearer this morning.
Here, do me.
Have a wonderful ride out there today, even on the fatty. That is looking great. Over 200K on the fat bike. It's looking great.
Here with Steve, the MC. So why is this so important for you to be able to talk in this event?
I think that the Ride to Conquer Cancer, we're fundraising for the BC Cancer Foundation, and cancer is something that nobody escapes from. Everybody has been touched by it in our families, our friends. Right now I have 3 friends who are going through cancer treatment. My grandparents all went through cancer treatment, and one of them died from cancer. And so it's one of those things that it is close to each of our hearts. And then you come out here and have this sense of camaraderie and community, and everybody just coming together in celebration and triumph, and really doing something that physically is quite triumphant, and raising millions upon millions of dollars that is going towards cancer research. It's a collection of amazing things.
Definitely see why you'd want to participate, for sure.
Yeah, I worked in the ride office years back, and then I've been emceeing for the last 3 years, and it's something that I hope to keep doing for many more to come.
I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For riders out here, home turf, have a fantastic ride, and the Silver Bullets. Team KPMG, our national business, have a wonderful ride out there today. And I see Team B going on